All right, today I'm going to try an interesting topic that I feel like I haven't really seen on YouTube. I am going to be ranking filmmaking lighting setups on a tier list. So basically how this video will work is I'll just drag the picture to whichever tier I feel like they belong in. The tiers are ranked from D to S, with D being the lowest. I do have experience shooting on various sets and shooting stuff for fun, shooting stuff with friends. So this is just sort of my take on where different lighting setups rank among each other. Okay, so as you can see, I have these different lighting setups here, and we will begin to rank them. So the first one I will start with is 3-point lighting. So I think that 3-point lighting is pretty useful because it's just a basic setup. It's a good base setup that you can sort of, when you're doing interviews, you have the key light, the fill light, and the hair light or the back light. And it's always just I guess a good staple you can always come back to. So considering that's the staple that you can come back to, it's a thing, I will put that in B tier. No, I take it back. 3-point lighting, I will put that in C tier. It's a good staple, but I don't know if it's B or C tier. We'll see. Now, 3-point lighting, in case you're wondering, 3-point lighting is just shooting, someone with a key, a fill, and a backlight. So right here, I mean, this is a good example of it. This lighting setup, you can make it look good. So I will actually put this setup in B. 3-point lighting setup in B tier. Right there. All right, so for the next one, it is Rembrandt lighting right here. Having the triangle on your cheek when you're shooting a subject, so right there. So obviously it's a pretty stylized look. I think it looks pretty good, and I guess it has its uses. Rembrandt lighting has its uses. I definitely think it looks nice, but it's very specified to dark scenes. Obviously it can work in other scenes, like where it's less dark, but I feel like it's a very specialized look. Like, you wouldn't use it too often. So that's Rembrandt lighting. I will put Rembrandt lighting in B tier as well. Okay, so next is split lighting. That's just lighting on two sides of the face. Boom, boom, boom. Honestly, I don't know how much that's used too much. It looks cool though, and I would put it in B tier, but I think it's not used a whole lot, so I'll just put that in C tier. All right, next is high key lighting. Mostly, bright lighting on the subject, and there's not very much shadows. So, like for example, all of these pictures, high key lighting. I think that high key lighting can look good, but it depends on how you're shooting. A lot of this is just, it's bright. It looks nice for certain things, but I think that I would give this a C rating. But obviously all of these are subjective, and I think it depends on what you're shooting, what your style is, because all of these can look good. Like, even the worst one that could be D tier could look pretty good. So just because it's in that tier doesn't necessarily mean it's really in that tier. Okay, so next, so high key lighting, C tier. Why did I put 3-point lighting above high key lighting? I don't know. You know what? I changed 3-point lighting. I feel like that's in C tier. Anyway, low key lighting. Low key lighting is goated, for real, for sure. I'll put that in A tier, because low key lighting, you can really do a lot with it, and you can have even a low key lighting setup that doesn't even have to look dark or have a certain moody tone to it. Low key lighting is just a scene that has a certain ratio with more shadowy prominent areas. So all of these things. I guess this picture that showed up earlier, that would be considered low key lighting. On the right, yeah. So just having more shadow, I think it really helps to bring out any subject in the frame. And you can even do this outside, outdoors. I would give low-key lighting, yeah, definitely A tier for that. A tier for low. It could even be it's hard to say. It's almost it's almost S tier. I don't know. Is it S tier? Low key lighting. Is that S tier? Like, what's the positive side? You don't need very many lights. You can do it simply. We will see. For right now, we'll put that in A tier. Okay. Oh, I think this is another low key lighting, so we can ignore that. I think I had multiple photos in there. But okay, next is golden hour lighting. Everyone pretty much knows what that is, but the sun on a subject. You know, there's a nice, yeah, that's a nice golden hour still from Outer Banks right here. Just looks really nice, beautiful. So I'll put golden hour in S tier because that's really like, you don't have to do much with that. It speaks for itself. Okay, so the next setup to rank will be bounce lighting. So bounce lighting is really, I guess, just when you bouncing, it's self-explanatory, I guess, when you're bouncing a light off of a surface. So honestly, that's pretty high up there. I'd give that an A tier because you can really bounce light off of anything, get different effects. Bounce light, you can make a book lighting setup, you know, where you bounce off of, you can do book lighting with that, which is where you bounce something off of a surface and bounce it through diffusion, and it goes through the diffusion, and it looks like a book. So that's why they call it book lighting. But next on the list is neon lighting. Neon lighting. I think it has its place, but I'll put that in C tier. But it can look good though. Like, once again, all of these things could look good. Next up, I guess, is window lighting. Honestly, I think window lighting is like, you automatically get a certain contrast from a window because it's usually, let's say it's dark in a certain room, and then you use a window to bring light in. You automatically get a contrast from the light to the dark. So honestly, I'll put window in A tier lighting, and you could do so much with windows because windows, you can have a silhouette, you can use the window to shape light. So yeah. Here's another repeat one, bounce lighting. Once again, okay, silhouette lighting. I will put silhouette lighting. Honestly, it just looks beautiful. So honestly, that's probably A tier because you can, but it's, yeah, I'd put that in A tier. It looks nice, and you can really feel emotion from it if you do it the right way. Okay, so practical lighting is the next one, and that's just a lamp or something on your desks. Any type of light that is actually a real light in the scene. Those are pretty useful. Honestly, I would give practical lights because you kind of need them. I'd give that A tier because you sort of need those to light people, and they could be good because you can also put different bulbs that you want on a practical light in a scene, and then boom. So yeah, I'd do that. I would do that. Next is chiaroscuro lighting, or chiaroscuro, however you want to say it. But that is basically, it's hard to explain, but I believe it's where there's a background that's slightly lit up, so the subject sort of pops out from the dark background so that you can sort of see them, because normally the person would fall into shadow when you shoot them on a dark background, but if you have light behind them, it sort of pops them out. So honestly, I will put that in B tier probably. So next is hard lighting. So that's when a light is super harsh, it's not soft on a subject. You know, the shadows are pretty distinct on a person. Honestly, it can look good. Like, you can get some cool effects with the lighting. You can have purposeful like lines. So honestly, it's not a bad lighting setup. And I would honestly put hard lighting in B tier. Yep. Next is top-down lighting, so you know, overhead. So you can have, honestly, you can get good lighting with that because it's natural to some. If you have like a nice light and you have it and it's soft too, you can put that overhead and it looks like it really is a ceiling light or something like that. It just looks better. So honestly, that's probably A tier. That's A tier. Top-down lighting is A tier. So next is under lighting. So like under lighting from, you know, when someone looks scary, they look like, you know, they're telling a scary story around the campfire. I will put under lighting. I feel like it's not used that much, but I feel like you can use it the right way and it could be, you know, rated highly. But personally, I think that it has its very specified uses, so I will probably put that in the D tier. Next one is backlighting. I've done that in some of my YouTube videos where I'm standing in front of the sun or the sun is behind me, and I'm shooting towards the sun. And usually, you know, a lot of the time people tell you to put the light in front of you so that you can light the person's face, which is true. But if you put the light behind someone, you can get a nice like highlight behind them. It makes them stand out. And if you have the right like light on their face, you can make the person still stand out while having a highlight from behind them. You can even make someone's hair glow in the sun if it's golden hour or something like that. It's just really beautiful. So I would put this in S tier, to be honest, for me. Next is ring lighting. Ring lighting, a lot of people use it for just a simple lighting setup. And actually, surprisingly, it doesn't look bad. It's not terrible, but I would put that still in D tier because I feel like it can be harsh. So I'll probably put that in D tier. Next is a flashlight lighting. So just using a flashlight to light things. So in a movie, honestly, you can get some cool things with a flashlight. So if you're shooting with an anamorphic lens in movies, you can get the nice flare with the light. The flashlight anamorphic is like, it's just beautiful. If you look at that, like honestly, obviously not all flashlight lighting is gonna look like that, but I would put flashlight lighting personally in D tier. It's D tier. Like you can't really light a subject and have it be decently flattering with a flashlight. Like it's gonna be harsh on a person. Because it can look cool on camera, doesn't mean that it's necessarily highly rated. So the next one is the fridge light. So when you open the fridge and the light is there, it can look actually pretty nice if you do it the right way. But obviously, especially if you like put a light in the fridge or something like that, I don't know if that counts as fridge lighting though, but I will give that C tier. It doesn't look bad. Next is campfire lighting. If you're around the campfire and you're lighting a subject, I feel like it's not the most flattering because it's not soft, it's flickering on someone's face. It is nice because it's warm, but a lot of times when you see campfires in movies, they probably have something to supplement the light to make it look like it's a campfire, but it's actually not. So for that reason, I will put campfire in D tier. So this is the complete ranking of lighting setups, the ultimate filmmaker's lighting setup tier list. And this is just my opinion. Obviously, I actually think you can move some of these around. I don't think they're set into their specific slots. I think a lot of these could be higher or lower than they are, depending how you use them. But obviously, this video isn't meant to be super serious. If you enjoyed this type of video or you want to see like more tier lists related to filmmaking, drop a comment and a like down below. You know, hopefully maybe this opened your mind up to some new lighting setups that may be interesting for you to try. All right, thank you for watching. Until next time.